Iga Swiatek on what she thinks about losing to Coco Gauff, Belinda Bencic ahead of AO. Iga Swiatek describes the Coco Gauff and Belinda Bencic matches as good tests, but also admits she plans to analyze what happened against the American and the Swiss. At the United Cup, the Polish tennis star launched her 2026 with a 3-set win over Eva Liss and back-to-back straight-set wins over Susan Layman's and Maya Joint. But then, Swiatek ended on the losing side in her next 2 matches. Firstly, the world number 2 got bounced 4-6, 2-6 by Gauff. Then the following day, the reigning Wimbledon champion lost 6-3, 0-6, 3-6 to Bencic. After winning the first set against Bencic, the Polish tennis star lost the next 7 games. I'm still here. Nothing crazy happened. I think it was a mix of me losing the intensity, and I wasn't feeling so sharp with movements and with my legs. I wasn't so precise anymore physically, I would say, Swiatek said when asked against the Swiss. Swiatek: these are good matches to analyze and work on the elements that didn't work at the United Cup. The 6-time Grand Slam champion was asked to how the Gauff and Bencic losses impact her going into the Australian Open. For sure, these are good matches to analyze against really top players. Especially Belinda likes to play on fast surfaces. Yeah, it was a good test. We're going to work now to improve some elements that didn't work this week. Still not a lot of time for that if I also want to have some recovery days. This is how tennis is. You got to go with the flow. We'll see, the world number 2 explained. Needless to say, beating Gauff and Bencic would have been a strong confidence booster for Swiatek ahead of the Australian Open. But now, the 24-year-old will have to return to the practice court and try to fix things that didn't work at the United Cup. Swiatek will seek her maiden Australian Open victory when she kicks off her 8th campaign at Melbourne Park next week. Here's a creative, insightful piece, 2,000 words, about Iga Swiatek's mindset and reflections on her recent losses to Coco Gauff and Belinda Bencic ahead of the Australian Open, blending factual reporting with thoughtful interpretation of her competitive psyche, career arc, and implications for her future. I'll ground the essay in her actual comments and known attitudes while helping you explore why these losses matter, how she frames them mentally, and what they could mean going forward. Iga Swiatek: rising, reflecting, and reaffirming mindset after losses to Coco Gauff and Belinda Bencic ahead of the Australian Open. A champion's pause. When losing becomes more revealing than winning. Iga Swiatek stepped onto the court at the United Cup with one of the highest expectations in women's tennis. A 6-time Grand Slam champion, world number 2, and one of the most dominant players of her generation, she has rarely been forced to confront a string of setbacks head-on. Yet over the weekend in Sydney, Swiatek experienced what few top competitors prefer to face: back-to-back defeats in competitive play against Coco Gauff and Belinda Bencic, just days before the Australian Open begins. Losses, even for the greatest, serve as mirrors. And for Swiatek, they offered a chance to reflect not on failure itself, but on preparation, balance, growth, and what it means to compete at the highest level. The narrative of a champion rising often emphasizes victory, but the quieter, more complex story is how a champion processes loss. The matches, brief moments, deep imprints. Before exploring Swiatek's response, it's worth briefly outlining the context of the matches themselves. Coco Gauff, the semi-final test. Swiatek's weekend began with a solid run, but in the United Cup semi-finals she was defeated 6-4, 6-2 by American star Coco Gauff. Despite being one of the tour's top players, Swiatek couldn't find the decisive rhythm that has defined so many of her great wins. The result was uncharacteristic in its clear scoreline, offering Gauff a commanding advantage from start to finish. Gauff is a formidable opponent, resilient, powerful, and tactically sharp, and this match served as more than just a hurdle. It was a reminder of how margins at the elite level are razor thin. Top athletes prepare for years to compete in moments like these, and every point begins to matter. Belinda Bencic: a rare collapse and emotional weight. If the loss to Gauff was disappointing, what followed against Belinda Bencic was even more jarring. Swiatek lost 3-6, 6-0, 6-3, including a stretch where she dropped 7 games in a row, an unusual collapse for a player of her experience and skill. Emotionally charged moments, including a racket toss and tears at changeovers, caught public attention and signaled an athlete battling both internal and external pressure. 2 straight defeats so close to the Australian Open, where she has yet to reach a final, raised eyebrows among fans, analysts, and fellow competitors alike. And yet, Swiatek's reaction after these matches has been a blend of self-awareness, confidence, and calm, a testament to her maturity. Everything is fine, a repetition with purpose. Perhaps Swiatek's most quoted reaction after these losses has simply been, "Everything is fine." At first glance, it might seem like a default response, the kind of PR line athletes give to avoid fueling controversy or concern. But for Swiatek, it's deeper than that. 1. Acknowledgement without alarm. She didn't deny the reality, she was super sore. She admitted her body felt different after the first event of the season, that early season tournaments demand a physical adaptation her system was still dialing in. These are not excuses, they are honest explanations. By making them, Swiatek doesn't downplay the significance of the defeats. Instead, she frames them in the larger arc of a long season. For elite athletes, the early season is both a physical and mental recalibration. It's a time to test fitness, strategy, and focus. Her openness about soreness and energy expenditure, particularly in team events she loves, reveals an athlete in tune with her own body. It's less about hiding vulnerability and more about acknowledging that human performance is complex. Team events, energy, and competitive chemistry. Swiatek's comments also reflected an intriguing insight. She loves team events, but they cost energy differently than individual tournaments do. This reminds us of a paradox top athletes often face. The very things that build camaraderie and competitive spirit can drain energy and focus in ways that individual events don't. It's not just physical energy, it's emotional investment, fan engagement, and psychological momentum. Swiatek's words suggest she is thinking not just about tennis as a sport, but about her role within a team, her energy levels, and how to balance passion with preservation. Growth through reflection. What Swiatek thinks about loss. Swiatek's statements after the defeats reveal several layers of attitude that define a thoughtful champion. 1. Resilience over reaction. Many players might react to a rare loss with frustration or defensiveness. Swiatek's approach, assessing her physical state, taking responsibility, and focusing on recovery, reflects a broader view. Setbacks deserve analysis, not panic.